Okay, my name is Ethan Lee Chalk from the Inner Sanctum, and this is the next big thing. And today I'm with Madeleine Bowen. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really well, thanks. How are you?
Good, not too bad. So you're currently at the Australian Institute of Sport at the moment. Is it hard being away from WA at all?
Not really, no. I lived in Canberra for 3 years and I just moved back to WA about 3 months ago. I am missing the surf already, even though it's only been like a week, but I'll get used to that. It's fine.
Yeah, not really many beaches down at Canberra. I'm lucky I'm down here in Sydney, so we've got Bondi, Coogee, Maroubra, so lots of surfing down here. What was the feeling like when you were selected to compete at the IVA Women's Elite World Championships?
Yeah, so when I won my fight at the selection event, you'd think it would be excitement, but actually it was just relief. Like I had worked so hard to get there. I had done, so many sprint sessions, so many training sessions. I'd been cutting weight. I was exhausted, and I won that fight. And the judge raises my hand at the end, and I was just like, wow, I'm so relieved. My dad's gonna be so proud. Yeah, and I think like the excitement of it hadn't really kicked in, and then it wasn't until Boxing Australia like posted their team selection about a week later online, and I started getting calls from my coaches and from my friends around the country congratulating me, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is real. Like I've kind of got that acknowledgement that I'm good enough to be here, and I'm going to go to Turkey, I'm going to go to Worlds. Like how exciting. So yeah, it took a while for that excitement to set in, and I think once I get there it's going to like take up the excitement a notch. But yeah,
You're kind
relief
of like an
first,
you're
then
kind of like you
excitement.
must have been like an instant celebrity with all your friends and family as soon as they saw your picture up there.
Yeah, it was something. So I have a really, really proud father, and he sends it around to like all of his friends, and a lot of his friends have like their own small businesses. So they're like, yeah, like we'll sponsor her to go to Turkey and stuff. And like every person I've seen has been like super stoked for me. Like, obviously this is such a fantastic achievement. So yeah, just like the outpouring of support I've had with my friends and family and their mutual friends that they've then told has been so incredible.
And obviously, how long have you like been originally doing boxing for? Like, have you been doing it for like since you were little, or did you just start off with it?
Yeah, I started boxing actually about 10 years ago. And I just started it because I think I was just like an angsty teenager and I wanted to like get into something. And my dad was like, oh, you should give, he was a big advocate for boxing. He was like, give boxing a go, and you've got a big mouth and someone's going to hit you one day. So you better learn how to hit back. And I was like, yeah, all right, good idea, Dad, let's do it. So I kind of started off and I didn't really have any plans to compete. And then it was when I was about 18, I had my first fight, and I was fighting in Western Australia, and I was fighting at about 51 kilos, and I was having a really hard time getting fights. So I just kind of like stuck with the training and had about 4 fights. And then I stopped competing for like a 3 year period, didn't get any fights. And that was kind of like to do with the COVID shutdown, but also I wasn't really in that mindset. And then it was
Yeah.
just kind of last year that I was like, all right, I've I've been training all this time. Like I still really love this. I'm gonna give it a go and like get back out there and try to achieve something. So December last year, I fought in the West Australian novice titles, and I won that. And then I came back to Canberra and I had a few fights in Sydney and in Melbourne. And then that got me like the number I needed to go and qualify for or to attempt to qualify for the world championships. So yeah, it was like it's been a really long time that I've been boxing. I've had 9 fights, which isn't really a lot. It
Yeah.
still puts me in the intermediate category, but I think just because I have that experience and that knowledge, and I've learned so much in that time, that's been really helpful, even without that ring experience.
Was it hard getting back into it at all after that 3 year break period?
I think it was mentally because I knew I was a better boxer than I had
Yeah.
been before, but there was still that doubt because I hadn't been able to prove it yet. Like my first few fights when I had first started boxing when I was a teenager were pretty shocking, like absolutely shocking. No idea about tactics or technique or anything. I just wanted to go in there and throw hands. I was just really passionate about punching. And as I've gotten older and as I've learned more, I've really appreciated the strategic side of boxing and the mental game. And I find it super engaging. But definitely over that period, I knew I was a good boxer. Like I'd done really well in sparring and stuff, but not being able to have proven that was very mentally challenging when I stepped up to have my first fight back in 3 years. And I just was trying so hard not to doubt myself and trying so hard to believe in myself, because that is absolutely key before you step in the ring. And yeah, I guess I just managed to push through that self-doubt. And now that I've kind of brushed off that ring rust, as we call it, and I've had like a few fights, like 5 fights in the last 4 months, my confidence is back, and I'm just so keen to jump back in the ring at any opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. Going back to your first fight of your career, what was that like? Was it kind of like terrifying? Was it exciting? Was it what are the right words you would describe it?
It was absolutely mortifyingly embarrassing and yeah, very, very scary. So my very first fight, I had stepped up to fight at 54 kilos. And I was actually smaller than I currently am. I'm fighting at 48 kilos at the World Championships, but I'm cutting weight. So I usually sit around 52. Yep. When I was about 18, I had my first fight. I was about 50 kilos. I had stepped up to fight at 54 because I couldn't get anyone in my weight class. And I think I almost cried before I went into the ring. I was so, so nervous. I got in the ring. I had my sneakers on because I didn't have boxing boots or anything at the time.
Oh no.
My coach was running late, so we had to postpone the fight. I was so stressed. I got in the ring. In the first 30 seconds, I fell down. I tripped over my own feet. I hit the canvas, and I just heard the whole crowd go, ooh. And I obviously, it's quite common for boxers to fall down in the ring. It happens all the time at the international level, but yeah. I didn't know that. And I was like, this is the most embarrassing moment of my life.
Especially in your first one as well. You're all eyes are on me.
Right? And I had such big expectations for myself. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go in there and win, and I'm going to impress everyone. The ref ended up stopping it in the second round in favor of my opponent. So,
oh no.
Yeah, it did not go down well. I've actually found the photos recently from afterwards. I've got a massive black eye and my nose is swollen to about twice the size. And I do remember going into the bathroom and having a cry afterwards because I was so emotional from that fight. And it was absolutely shocking. But I came out of it and I just thought, okay, I've got to train harder. It wasn't, this is too hard. I don't like this. I'm going to give up. It was, that sucked, but I'm still determined. And so I've got to train harder. But I think it was probably until about my 5th or 6th fight that I got really, really nervous going into the ring. Yeah. It was so very, very uncomfortable. And it's only been quite recently that I've been like, okay, I'm calm. I know how to calm myself down before a fight. I'm just going to embrace the excitement of it. But yeah.
How do you calm yourself? Do you listen to
anxiety?
Do you listen to any music, or do you just think about different things, meditate, or how does that calm you down for the fight? Get rid of all your nerves?
I usually start my pre-fight routine. If I'm fighting in the evening, usually a good 4 hours before my fight. So I'll put on some really meditative music and I'll spend an hour and I'll just stretch out my whole body, going through a really kind of soft yoga routine. Obviously you don't want to be doing anything too intensive, but making sure I'm really stretching everything and feeling appreciative and listening to something that's very calming and relaxing. Yeah. And then I go straight from that into the cold shower, which will absolutely wake me up. And that gets me in the zone, ready to go, dressed in my gear, headphones in, we've gone from the meditative music to my Jay-Z, Eminem, Machine Gun Kelly blasting. I like to get to the venue about an hour before my fight so that I have a bit of extra time. And I'll just go through and do a few rounds of shadow boxing and then a few rounds of hitting out on the pads. And I find as soon as I've done like punching the pads with my coach beforehand, I'm absolutely fine. Like that gets rid of all of my nerves, and I can just focus on feeling like I'm loosening up and getting in the flow of doing the movements that I need to.
And obviously, you talked about your dad a lot. Is he the major inspiration for you to do boxing, to originally start boxing and to continue on?
Yeah, he is. It's really been a massive, like a very like massive bonding point for us. My dad and I are like the same people, but like, you know, two sides of the same coin, right?
Yeah.
So we butt heads a lot. But I really love him. Like my dad is an exceptionally hardworking man, and he's really drilled a hard work ethic into
Was he
us.
a boxer as well?
Just because we've seen like how much. No, he wasn't, but he doesn't mind punching someone on at the pub. So
Yeah.
I've probably gone a bit of a better route than him, but yeah, he's always been like he's very into fitness and things, and he has a lot of respect for boxing, and yeah, he's so proud of me and of what I've achieved, and always telling me that, you know, I can do it, and I, you know, he thinks I'm the best boxer in the world. He genuinely believes I'm going to go to Worlds and bring home the gold medal, and like props to you, Dad. Like, thanks. That's a lot of belief in me, because I don't have that level of belief in me. But yeah, definitely my biggest inspiration, both for like general work ethic and in all areas of my life, and also in pushing me to be the best that I can in boxing and believe in myself. And yeah, he's a great guy. Really love him, and I'm super
Yeah,
grateful
you
to have
always
him
need
in my corner
someone
and
there
on
to
my
motivate
team.
you. So it's good that your dad's always over your shoulder as well. And obviously you can
Yeah.
punch legally, unlike him.
Yeah, it's probably not setting the best example. So
Yeah. And
he
what does
did
your
lead me
training
down a better path, though.
what does your training schedule look like? Do you have enough time to fit other things in, or is it just all boxing?
So usually I'll try to run like 3 to 4 times a week, and I have a running schedule that is like a 4 week schedule, and it kind of rotates between 5K runs and then 9 by 400 meter sprints. So
Yeah.
I'll do that usually Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday if I'm feeling up to it. And then I have a strength schedule, like a strength program, and I do that Tuesday and Thursday. And then boxing is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then I have to incorporate my own shadow boxing into that as well, because that's really helping me like work on the things that I know I need to work on. So all up, it can be anywhere from, like, obviously that's split between morning and afternoon. So all up, anywhere from about 2.5 to 4 hours a day. I do work a 9 to 5 job, like a 40-hour a week
Okay.
job. I'm really lucky that I have kind of the flexibility to work from home. And I think, yeah, during the week, it can be a bit difficult to fit anything else in once you've got like boxing and work and then more boxing, and then you're exhausted and you just want to curl up in bed and read a book.
Yeah.
On the weekends, I always like I try to get in a surf or a hike or being with my nieces and my nephews. Like I've really been making a conscious effort like to do those things, because I think if you don't, you really risk a burnout. And I don't want to get to a point where boxing is like has consumed me to the point where I can't do the other things that I love and the other things that I'm passionate about, because I don't want boxing to feel like work. I want it to be like, I want it to still be fun, and I want to still enjoy it. And I think being able to take a step away and like really forcing myself to go out and do other things that I love is super important.
Are there any days you kind of don't like try and get out of bed to do all your exercise routines? Especially if it's
Yeah.
like cold one morning?
Yeah, it can be really hard. Yeah, I think I don't mind getting up to go for my 5K run, because that's just like, yeah, you just do it. It's the sprints that really, really get me. Like those 9 by 400 meters. Absolutely hate it, hate it, hate it. I usually will, like when I'm kind of feeling like a lack of motivation, I'll have a coffee in the morning to kind of like perk me up. And I always have a banana before I train, so I've got like some energy. And sometimes I'll just like lie in bed for like half an hour, 20 minutes, just watching boxing videos on my phone. and it kind of like gets me like a bit motivated and wanting to like move, and I start like moving my head with the people on the videos, and
It kind of gets you in
once
the
I've
mood as
kind of
well,
like,
doesn't it?
yeah, it does, and then it reminds me like what I'm working for and why I'm putting myself through this, and it's like, oh, okay, maybe I can actually do it. So I get up and I'll go down to the park, and yeah, there we are. But yeah, it's definitely, it takes a lot of discipline, it takes a lot of routine, a lot of patience, and a lot of planning.
And when someone's done boxing for a long period of time, like yourself, there's more of a chance to sustain like minor or major injuries. Have you had any major injuries before, or you've been on the luckier side?
I think I've been on the luckier side. Yeah, I've never really, like, aside from like the odd black eye and the bruised nose, and sometimes you have a really good sparring session, and like if you touch your nose like this, it's a bit crunchy.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. I've had a couple of broken fingers, but like nothing too serious. I think I've been really lucky with my trainers, and like my ability to trust them to not put me in situations where I know I'm going to sustain short-term or long-term damage. And I think that that's probably the most important part of avoiding injury, knowing that your trainer has your best interests in heart. Because you don't want to be doing like hard sparring every single day. Like that is going to cause some long-term injury. Like your brain is so important. I use my brain every day. I think most people do.
Yeah.
Protecting that is so important. Yeah, working in the gym, making sure that obviously I'm on the lighter side. So when I'm sparring or doing partner work with the heavier guys and girls, that they know to pull their punches and that kind of stuff. I think the longer you do boxing, you kind of like, you know how to defend better. And when you're doing partner work, you know how to not go like as hard as you possibly can. And I think sometimes it's when you're with like the new people at the gym or the novices, and they don't really know how to pull their punches.
Oh,
And
okay.
so like they are really trying to go to town on you, and it's like, oh, okay, like we're just sparring in the gym, like no one wants to get injured here
Yeah,
because we're all
it's not
training to
like a
fight. And
professional fight or anything.
yeah, yeah. So I think it's, yeah, I have like, I am very vocal. Like if I'm with some of the bigger boys at the gym and they're novices and they're not pulling their punches, just like, okay, like, I can block these, but at least one is going to go through. So maybe just like not so much strength, not so much power, and they're usually pretty good about it. So I can trust my team.
How far ahead are you looking into the future? After obviously after the World Championships, do you see yourself going into other competitions, or do you see the Olympics in mind in the future?
I'm trying not to think more than about 12 months ahead at the moment. I've got a competition in Singapore at the end of June, so I'm going to go over there. That's not like representing like Boxing Australia or Boxing Western Australia or anything. That's just like me and my club. Have like, I've developed a good friendship with some of the girls over there in Singapore, and
Yeah.
I know they're looking for a 48 kilo girl. So that's a fantastic opportunity, and I'm just really keen to take that. And there'll be a few other countries there, so that'll be such a fantastic opportunity. But I think at the moment I'm really kind of looking towards that, and then there's a nationals in November,
Okay.
and I'll kind of be focusing on that, and the next 12 months. And my goal at the moment is just to, in the next 12 months, build up my skill set,
Yeah.
get as much experience and as many fights as I possibly can, kind of learn more about my style and my technique and where my deficiencies are and what I can do to fix those and to build on my skills. So the Olympics would be incredible. Childhood dream fulfilled. Everyone wants to give that a crack, but I'm trying not to get too ahead of myself. I know if I work on kind of a 12-month goal cycle, goal planning, and if I just focus on my skill building, my skill development, and focusing on myself and not so much like on other people and what they're doing, I think that's going to be the best thing for me as an athlete.
Yeah, it's good not to look too far ahead, because you really don't know what's going to happen with yourself or with the world or different countries like Australia. Nothing's really for certain anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you rather, would you want to compete at I think is it 2028? The Commonwealth Games are here in Brisbane. Is that right? Or 2032? Would that be amazing competing in front of like all your family and friends in your home country as well?
Oh my God, absolutely. Absolutely. That would just be, yeah, incredible. I think like it's such an honor to have your country hosting the Commonwealth Games, like such a large and prestigious sporting event. I love fighting in front of my family. I love fighting in front of my friends. Like, being in Australia, the boxing community is really tight.
Yeah.
I've got friends from all different states. So whenever I'm fighting at like a national event, you've always got all those supporters from all around the country who are there cheering you on. And similarly, you're cheering on your friends from all different states and all around the country. So like there's a fantastic boxing community, and to be able to have all those people there and like supporting you is absolutely incredible. And then yeah, like you said, like the family and friends coming along to watch, like what an
Will any of
absolute
them be
dream.
going off to Turkey to watch you?
Unfortunately not. I'm really devastated. We're actually going to be in a COVID bubble when we go over there. So what
Oh
we've been
wow.
told is that we'll have the hotel is like right next to the competition venue, and there'll be a training venue within the hotel. So we'll have like we'll be able to train in the hotel, and we'll just go over for the competition. There is the option to have spectators watching. So I
Yeah.
know there's a few of the girls, they have their families and their partners going over, and they'll be spectating. But yeah, my dad was going to come over, and we were super excited. We thought that we'd get a little holiday in Istanbul, and yeah, it was not going to happen. And he was just kind of going to be in Turkey by himself, and coming to watch me fight. And so we figured we'd save the funds, and he could come along next time. But my family is coming to Singapore with me for that competition,
Oh,
so
nice.
that
That'll
kind
be
of
definitely amazing
makes
for
up
you.
for it.
Having
Yeah.
your whole family there. Are they gonna like hold up signs and have the pom poms ready cheering you on?
Oh, absolutely not. I always try to keep them very like low key. When we go to club fights, like local fights, yeah, my family is very loud. You can't miss them.
Yeah.
They're very drunk bogans at the back, yelling very loudly. And it is quite mortifying. So yeah, I think maybe at a bit more of a prestigious event, I'll make them keep it very, very low key. But it's so funny. Like my dad always, obviously, like when I'm fighting, he comes right up to the side of the ring. And when you're boxing, like, and you're in your rounds, all you can hear, like, you're absolutely so focused. All you can hear is like your coach in the corner, maybe, and the sound of the bell and the ref, and like everything else is just white noise. But I could always hear my dad. Like his voice just cuts through that white noise. So
Do you kind of like when you're in the middle of a boxing fight and you obviously hear him, are you like in your head like, Dad, please shut up?
yeah, I am. I am. There have been times where I've had to stop myself from in the middle of a round yelling out to him to shut up. And it's like, you're not allowed to talk in boxing. I've gotten in trouble before for talking like during the rounds. Yeah, come on, Dad. Like I'm trying to focus here.
And I'm guessing some what he says wouldn't be very PG, would it?
No, no. Now he's a good sport. He usually goes up and like whoever I've competed with, like he'll shake their hand and their coaches and stuff. He's a good sport, so it's usually positive stuff. But yeah, it can get a bit rowdy.
And when you were younger, did you have an inspiration to one day represent Australia, or was that on the thought of your mind? Were you like, I'm going to represent Australia, and then oh yeah. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, so I actually put this on like my goal board when I was about 18. And I remember like doing like, what are like my goals for the next like 5 years or whatever. And it's like, oh, I'd really like to go to like an international tournament and represent Australia. And, I didn't think it would be something like the World Championships. I thought maybe it would just be like a smaller tournament, like a regional Pacific Oceanic tournament or something. But yeah, it was definitely on my vision board for a while. It's just that I wasn't kind of taking steps towards it. And I think it was fantastic to kind of achieve this and like look back on that and the fact that it had been on my board. And obviously it wasn't something that happened instantly, but it was something that I got there in the end.
Were there any times throughout your career that you're like, I don't want to do boxing anymore, or I'm over
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, so many. I think when I took my like 3-year break from competing, there was a couple of periods. There was one where I was just like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm any good at boxing. So like, what's the point? Like maybe I won't compete. And I was still kind of at that stage where I was feeling really nervous before I went into the ring. So it's like, it's just really uncomfortable. Like, I don't know if I like it. And then there was another time where I'd started training at a new gym. And I think the culture there was just really poor, and I didn't feel like
Yeah.
I was kind of getting what I wanted. And I wasn't enjoying the sessions, and I had been boxing for a while at that stage. And so I kind of like had my own like style and technique really established, and they wanted to kind of change everything about the way that I did. And I kept getting told that the way I was doing things was wrong, and it was just really, really frustrating. And I trained there for about 6 months, and I was just like, I've had enough. Like I'm ready to quit, because every session I go in and I get told that I'm not very good.
Yeah.
And like, I haven't made any friends here. And yeah, I think I just like went home from training every day and like cried, which is obviously not something you should be doing, because you're supposed to be enjoying it. And
You
I'm
don't want to
really
feel
lucky that,
you don't want it to feel like it's your job either.
yeah, right. Like it's, you put so much time and effort into it, and you do that because you love it. Why else? Yeah, I was just lucky. Like I had a support of one of my old coaches, and he was like, no, like you're a good boxer. You just need to find a new gym. And I did. I thankfully, like, I moved gyms and I found this other place, and the coach was incredible and the people were incredible, and I was so welcome. And yeah, I ended up training there for about 2.5 years after that. And I think that was kind of what really pushed me to get back into fighting, and really like reignited that spark that I needed. But God, yeah, there were a lot of times where I was like, I'm gonna quit. There were a lot of times where I took like months off at a time, especially when I was studying, or I was working so much and boxing
Yeah.
just wasn't a priority for me. But I'm so glad that I had that, and it's stubbornness, it's pure stubbornness, um, to stick with it and just be consistent.
You got to be highly motivated as well, obviously, to compete at that level.
Yeah, yeah, you do. It's very, it's a lot of self motivation. And like self motivation is one of those things that like you've kind of got to learn. Like you've just got to keep flexing it, and it gets easier. But sometimes you fall off, and then you've got to get back on. And yeah, it's really tough. I wish there was a secret to being self motivated, but I don't think there is.
What advice would you give to any younger girls who are hoping to become boxers when they're older?
First of all, go for it. Like absolutely go for it. You will love it. Boxing is one of the best things you can do for, your confidence, and it gives you the ability to be able to speak up for yourself and stand up for yourself when you need it. It's so engaging. It's so good for every aspect of your life, whether you decide to fight or whether you decide just to train. So go for it. My second piece of advice is find yourself a community that you enjoy and that supports you. If you're training at a gym and you don't think that you're getting the support from your coach or from your peers, don't stay there. You don't owe them anything. You owe it to yourself to branch out and find somewhere new. And it might take you 5 or 6 gyms before you find the place where you belong, and you find the coach who's going to put in the time to work for you, because you know that that's what you deserve. So build that network in your gym and then branch out further. The Boxing Australia community is a fantastic community. It's a sport where you punch each other in the head, but outside the ring, everyone is best friends. Like we all love each other, we all get along, we all know how hard it is, and we're all motivating each other. So branch out further, branch out and, meet people from different clubs, meet people from different states. Find yourself someone who really inspires you, that you can work with and train with and get some sparring in, and focus on yourself and your own growth. But don't ever let any of the barriers that you might face hold you back from that. So having a great network and great people to surround you. And also, if anyone ever tells you that you're too pretty to be a boxer and aren't you worried about what it's going to do to your face, it's okay to tell them to F off. It's fine.
That's a great way to end it. Thank you so much for your time this morning, Madeleine. I really appreciate it, especially jumping on here at such an early time in the morning. And good luck at the World Championships in Turkey. And hopefully we can get back. You can get back on here after you compete, and hopefully you bring back one of the medals.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ethan. This was such a great chat. I'm always down to talk about boxing. So thank you so much for your support. And yeah, hopefully I'll get to talk to you again soon.